Hello everyone, and welcome to Action RPG Game Guide Edition. This is now my third iteration of my Fire Necro. This is going to be more of an advanced guide for running true endgame. I've only made slight modifications to gear and skill since my last build, but I wanted to put this out there so everybody can see what I am currently using, and this likely will not change until we get some new updates. Now, since 7.9 has dropped, I have run 362 echoes testing multiple versions of this build, and I feel like at its current place I have mastered it. Now, one big switch since my last video is I took out Dreadshade and I have put in Bone Curse. What I'm going to do right now is show you why Bone Curse is so strong by fighting the Storm Dragons. It'll really highlight it, and then I'll explain how it works later on. Couple things I want you to focus on while I am in this fight. For gear, and I'll explain this later on in the build, I have now put cast speed on multiple items of my gear so I can cast way faster. On top of that, I will be able to generate mana and ward from Bone Curse, not Rip Blood, and I will be able to make way more wraiths. So check this out. Alright, let's build up the army real quick. Let's do 30. Alright. Storm Dragons. Bone Curse, Bone Curse, Bone Curse. Bone Curse, Bone Curse, Bone Curse. Alright. Let's watch. Just watch. Alright, let's just focus on one. And there it is. Look at this middle dragon. See that? Right now I'm not using Rip Blood. Look at my ward and look at the wraiths. Only using one hand. Just casting Bone Curse and wraiths. $30,000 ward, 50,000. Not using Rip Blood. Have not moved. And he's gone. Storm Dragons. I'll explain why it took me a while to get that rhythm going when we're going through the skill, because I will explain to you how it works. As always, we're going to start with skills, and I'm going to go pretty quick through this because I've already covered this at times, multiple times. Again, I will link my old videos in the description below if you're looking for more details. Under Summon Wraith, nothing has changed. It's the exact same skill points that I put in previously, focused on ensuring they stay alive the longest, they decay the slowest, they have the most crit chance, most crit multiplier, and of course you are making flame wraiths. So that is exactly the same. Under Summon Skeletal Mage, I've changed 1 point, and I've pulled 1 point out of Grey Merchant, and I've put that into Putrid Essence. Now, Putrid Essence gives you a 25% chance to poison. You're probably wondering, why does that matter? Well, when you are using this version of Skeletal Mages, their poison chance becomes Ignite chance. So since you have 5 and they are shooting so fast, that 25% might as well be 100%. They will literally ignite every single person they fight, unless the person dies super quick. So that 1 point basically makes it so they are always igniting. Okay? Under Golem, exact same thing, nothing has changed. It's focused on keeping him alive and it generating the most possible threat. So they are focused on you, or not on you, not on your other minions, but on the golem itself. And of course, it'll rip blood back to you and itself, so it stays alive as long as possible. Under Rip Blood, nothing has changed at all. It's the exact same skill, one of the strongest skills in the game. You want to take Arcane Fortress first, which gives you the ability to rip blood back as ward instead of life. And then in here, Thirst makes it where the skill is free, so you could always cast it. Up here, Mana Feast makes it so that's how your mana jumps up so fast, and then you want to be able to cast it on your minions. Rip Blood has not changed. Now let's talk about the new ability for this Fire Necro, and that of course is Bone Curse, which I showcased during the Storm Dragon fight. Now this has replaced Dread Shade. What makes Bone Curse so good? Okay, a couple of things. One, it has armor shed chance, so you'll be able to kill enemies faster. On top of that, it's got kill threshold of 18%, and this works on bosses, including Storm Dragons or the Emperor of Corpses or any big boss there is, so you will kill them that much faster. Now, what also Bone Curse does is it's going to rip blood back to you, and it's going to rip blood back to you in ward, which you saw during that fight. How this works is that when the curse ends, it's going to rip a part of blood back to you. But with Acute Infliction, it's going to fall off only after 4 hits. So you put Bone Curse on, your melee units hit them 4 times, the curse falls off, and it rips blood back to you. Now, not only does it do that, but this Cursed Limbs is the powerhouse of this skill. Because what Cursed Limbs does is it gives your melee wraiths the ability to rip blood back to you for 5 seconds. So what that means is you put the curse on the enemy. When the curse falls off after 4 hits, it's going to rip blood. On top of that, for 5 seconds, your melee wraiths are going to be ripping blood back to you. And like I said, it also has the kill threshold, and it has the armor shed chance. Now, this is got kind of a small radius for a curse, so I used to have 4 into armor shred. I've actually taken 1 out of that and put it into increase area to make sure that I'm hitting all enemies with it. It is an extremely powerful skill, especially around hard encounters. Now, when I was fighting the Storm Dragons earlier, the reason why it wasn't working great at the beginning is because I had multiple minions fighting multiple bad guys. I didn't have them all focused on one, so I was trying to cast Bone Curse on all of them while casting Wraiths. Now remember that your Flame Wraiths are not going to proc Cursed Limbs. That's why you don't want 100% chance for Flame Wraiths, because you need the melee ones. It should be about 7 or 6 flame to 3 or 4 melee hitters. If you have all flame, Cursed Limbs will not work. This skill is amazing, but it does take a little bit to get used to and make sure you use right. But that is the skills. Passives. Now again, not a lot has changed with passives, so I'm going to blow through this pretty quick. Under Acolyte, you want 8 into Forbidden Knowledge, 8 into Stolen Vitality, 5 into Dark Rituals, 1 into SA, 1 into Mana of Mortality, and 5 into Unnatural Preservation. Under Acolyte, you actually don't put a whole lot of points. Go ahead and snap a pic of that now. Okay, Necromancer. Obviously, this is your bread and butter. 8 into Risen Army, 5 into Grave Thorns, 1 into Blood Armor, 10 into Mortal Tether. Then all this stuff in the middle, you do not need. Up here is where all your damage comes from. 5 into Effigies, 5 into Frantic Summons, 5 into River of Bones, 10 into Heresy, 3 into Blades of the Forlorn, 10 into Rite of Undeath, 5 into Veins of Malice, 1 into Disciplines of the Necromancer, and then right now I have 9 into Moonlight Pyre for the fire. Now my character is level 94, and I have of course gotten all 16 passive points from the campaign. So I've got a lot of points right now in here. Now if my character was level 100, if that's what you're looking at, I would obviously put 1 more point into this to complete it, and then with the other 5 I would go over to Lich and put it into Crippling Insight. Since we don't focus on health regeneration, it would give us an additional 10 intelligence. But go ahead and snap a picture of that now. Those are the passive skills. Now let's talk gear, and this is going to be the advanced part for this build that I talk about too fast in my other videos. Now I get asked all the time, what are the main affixes you want to look at for this character? Now right off the bat, when you first make this character, you have to be able to survive. So number 1 and a close number 2 that you have to look for is, of course, Glancing Blow. And then number 2 is Critical Strike Avoidance. Those are the top 2 affixes you have to look at pretty much for any character in Last Epoch as of right now. Now, what do these 2 things do? Critical Strike Avoidance downgrades the enemy's crit to a regular hit. Okay, so you're not going to be getting critted. On top of that, Glancing Blow is going to downgrade it to half of its damage. So they hit you with a critical strike, that gets downgraded to a regular strike, and then that regular strike, it gets cut in half from a damage perspective. It basically ensures that you never get one-shotted, though if you aren't paying attention, if you do get surrounded or whatever happens, you always have the ability to use potions, to cast Rip Blood, to rebuild your ward, or whatever you need to do to get out of that situation. I cannot tell you how many times this has saved me in the past, and moreover, I'm being honest, since 7.9 has dropped over 360 echoes, I have not died with this character. So those are the 2 main affixes you want to look for. Now, on top of that, obviously you have ward retention, and what helps ward retention? Intelligence. And then for actual damage for your minions, you want increased minion damage, increased minion spell damage, and increased minion fire damage. Now, right now with the gear that I have combined, you combine minion damage, minion spell damage, and minion fire damage. I do 1,311%. On top of that, all of my minions have 893% health. They are pretty strong minions, okay? So those are the stats that I'm currently at, and I know my resistances and protections are terrible, but with Glancing Blow and Critical Strike Avoidance, it really doesn't make a huge difference, okay? So now, how did I get these stats? Let's actually look at the gear that is on this character. Idols. Now, when it comes to idols, you actually have free reign to do a lot, or whatever you want. If you're low on Glancing Blow, you could put in Glancing Blow idols. You could go after damage, but there is one idol that is required, and if you are lucky, it's taken me, like I said, 360 runs to find this idol, but I finally found it. Now I'll show you all of them. So in here I just have 44% increased fire damage and reflected damage for my skeleton mages, increased health, increased fire damage. I really like these ones. It could roll with 60% fire damage for minions, so I have one with 54 and one with 56, and they both give you ward when you kill. But this is the idol that you want to hunt for this build. And again, these you can put anything you want, it really doesn't matter. Flame Wraith chance with minion chance to mark death on hit. I used to have these on separate idols. I finally found one that rolled together. So now, basically, every single enemy I fight has Mark of Death on it, and I get my Summon Wraith chance. So, that is like the bread and butter of idols, and of course it could even roll better. It can go as high as 10 and 60, mine was 45 and 8. I've literally only found one ever. Now, when you're looking at gear, not a whole lot has changed. Again, a few things have, but mainly it's the affixes. The 2 uniques you need are Reach of the Grave and Death Rattle. Again, those are must-haves for this build. I have not had a chance to test out the Dragon Flame Edict 2-handed unique staff. I have killed the Emperor of Corpses 4 times, and unfortunately it has not dropped. So that might be the end game gear for this build, but I have not been able to test it yet. Now, people always ask me all the time, Aaron, why don't you focus on increased minion health regen? It's always at 0. And that's because, one, when you're fighting larger enemies, they will one-shot all your minions. They won't have the ability to regenerate life. So focusing on health, they will be able to withstand those big blows, and with Reach of the Grave, your minions will always be leeching 10% of its bow or spell damage. So that's why this item is so strong. So again, Death Rattle and Reach of the Grave. Now I'm going to go through each item I am wearing individually, okay? So for my helmet, you always want these. So I'll go through these at the bottom why I have this here. You always want to use the Acolyte helmet that gives 15 or minion adaptive spell damage. So on here, I have Glancing Blow, increased minion health, necrotic protection, and critical strike avoidance. Okay. For my catalyst, you always want to get one that has high intelligence, high ward per second. On this one, I have minion spell, increased cast speed. Again, cast speed is very important. Poison protection and increased minion damage. My armor, this is a rare armor. You will find these from time to time. You always want the one that has chance to receive glancing blow for its implicit. And then on this armor, 8 to intelligence, 188 to minion health, and 119% increased skeleton mage damage. You don't see that very often. Skeleton mage damage. That's tier 4. Going down to my belt is freaking awesome. 125% increased minion health, 5% glancing blow, 29% critical strike avoidance, and poison protection. Rings, intelligence, minion health, stun avoidance, and minion damage. Other ring, glancing blow, increased minion health, stun avoidance, and dodge. At the bottom, these gloves really changed my build. So on here, you're getting 23% increased cast speed from these gloves alone, 69% increased minion health, and then necrotic and lightning protection. Boots, increased movement, increased ward retention, intelligence, both versions of glancing blow and elemental protection. And then under relic, there's no really great relic for this build. So on here I have intelligence, increased cast speed, elemental protection, and health. When I mean there's not a great relic, I mean there's not one that has a great implicit. So that is the gear that I am currently using. Good stuff. Now, people ask me all the time, what are the main implicits that I look for this build? So this is what I set up, a little kind of mock character down here. Let me move my face. Now, when I log into the game and I'm about to log out of the game, I always do one full set of gambling, which normally means I fill half of my stash or my full stash one time, and then I go through all the items, hoping that I could find a diamond in the rough. Now, these are the only items that I ever gamble on. Everything else I just pass up and I refresh. So these are the items that I recommend you gamble on if you are truly looking for end game gear. So right here, the Ivory Mask, this always gives you minion adaptive spell damage. Could not believe how much damage that adds to your build. Even if you get it at plus 12, 13, 14, it maxes at 15. Okay, the Immortal Plate, as far as chest, gives you up to 15% glancing blow for your chest piece. So right there, you only got to find another 85%. The Necromancer Wand, of course, when you gamble on this, you have the chance of pulling a Reach of the Grave. As far as the amulet goes, this is the amulet you can go for, which will give you the chance to find a death rattle, which I have gambled and found multiple of. Under Catalyst, the Blood Rust. So what this gives you is intelligence and ward per second. For your rings, same thing as the amulet. These are basically the minion rings and amulet. This will give you minion damage and minion health. Belt, I just always go the highest one. It gives you 5 potion slots. The gloves, the noble gloves give you increased cast speed up to 10%. And then the arcane blue boots, they give you armor, movement speed, and ward retention. So as far as these items go, I'll log in, I will gamble halfway or full of my stash, I'll look through all of them, and then I'll try and craft. And then before I log out, I do the exact same thing. I always retain anywhere from 2 to 500,000 gold by doing that, so gold is normally never a problem. But I just wanted to show these so that if you are gambling and you don't know what to do, only look at these items. And again, when I pick up rares off the ground, it's normally always these. So that is the build. You saw the skills and the updates to the skills. You saw my passive tree. You've seen the breakdown and deep dive of my gear. You have seen my breakdown of my character as far as stats. 1,300 and 11% to your minions, including almost 900% to their health. And I did not mention that on here, your minions will be over 14% critical strike chance with a 381% multiplier. So your character will be extremely tanky because of crit avoidance and glancing blow. And then on here, your minions, when you get a good momentum rolling, you will literally crush everything. Over 360 runs, and I have not died, and I fought the Emperor of Corpses 4 times and have prevailed every single time. That is the build. That is the character. So I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any questions whatsoever, leave it in the comment section below. If you have any suggestions to make the build stronger, leave it in the comment section below. If you haven't had a chance to join the official Action RPG Discord, please do so. The link is in the description below. Great conversations every single day. The idea is to have a gaming community that could jump from game to game together, so you never start the server alone. We are always talking about Last Epoch, and you can talk to me directly. Also, this coming Friday, August 28th, we are going to be doing a giveaway where it's going to be a free arcade motion blaster. So whenever you watch this, August 28th, we're going to be giving away one of these free on my Discord, so you should join it. That's all I got. Stay home, stay safe. Do not forget to join the official Action RPG Discord. Aaron, out.